when these are the particular things that control you, then you open yourself up for attacks and you open yourself up to be controlled by parasites. Okay, thank you for tuning in to this video. What I wanted to talk to you about is the lower self. I want to give you some tools that you can start using immediately that will help you conquer your lower self. Now, your lower self obviously is classified as the animal version of yourself. And when you are controlled by the animal version of yourself, what that actually means is that what controls you are your senses. How something tastes, how something sounds, how something feels, how something smells, how something looks. When these are the particular things that control you, then you open yourself up for attacks and you open yourself up to be controlled by parasites. Now, you have parasites, obviously, that live within you, and then you have the so-called spiritual parasites. Now, these parasites need you to be weak in order to be able to control you. Now, what I want to do, like I said, is give you some tools. Now, here's some resources that I'll be going into in this particular video. I'll be referencing to the Bhagavad Gita. I'll be referencing to the Light of Egypt. I'll also be referencing to the Tanakh or the Bible, the KJV version, okay? So these are going to be the resources I'm going to go into. Now, what I like to do on this channel is I like to investigate and research all tools and information, obviously, because we're supposed to piece it all together like a puzzle. When you allow yourself to be controlled with groups, then you block your enlightenment and you block the keys that you need in order to unlock the doors of the temple that is within you. Okay, so like I said, let's get started. So first we need to identify the animal version of yourself, which is the lower self. So let's go into the Light of Egypt. Now, I'll leave links to these particular references in the description section below, so you can obtain these particular tools and open up your investigation just like I have. So I'm going to turn here, I have it bookmarked, I'm going to turn to page 166 in the Light of Egypt. Now, here it's identifying the physical senses. Now, we can translate physical as meaning animal, your lower self, right? The material. So the physical senses are your touch, taste, smell, sight, hearing, intuition, and thought transference. Okay, these are your physical senses. Now let's get into a higher level interpretation of these particular senses. And in order to do that, I'm going to be looking at plate number 5 from the Bhagavad Gita. Now, I have it bookmarked, like I said. So let's look at plate number 5 here, and this is what it says. It says, the individual is the passenger in the car of the material body, okay? And intelligence is the driver. Mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. Remember that. The senses are the horses. So if you have not tamed, if you have not conquered, if you have not devoured the lower self, then you open yourself up to allow someone else to take advantage of the empty seat that intelligence is supposed to be sitting in. Remember, it said intelligence is the driver, right? So if you are controlled by the senses, then you have a vacant seat. So then you're allowing parasites, principalities, entities, to sit in those seats and control you. So for example, if they want you to desire certain foods, for example, because the seat is empty, you're going to desire the swine, you're going to desire the shrimp, you're going to desire these things because all they have to do is show you something that looks appealing to make you desire that particular food that is damaging to you, if that makes sense to you. So we want to make sure that we tame and we conquer and we devour the animal version of ourselves, so then intelligence can actually sit and be the appropriate driver for us. Is it making sense? Let's read plate number 5 here from the Bhagavad Gita. It says, the individual is the passenger in the car of the material body, and intelligence is the driver. Mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. Okay, the senses are the horses. So now that we've identified how and what these entities are able to do in order to have us serving their best interests, and they use the sight, they give you that which looks appealing to the eye, that looks desirable for food and so forth. So they affect you through what you hear, they affect you through what you see, what you smell, how something tastes, how something feels. Because if these are the senses that are controlling you, then it's very easy for someone else to manipulate you to where you're like a puppet, right? And they're pulling the strings. So let me give you the tools so intelligence can be in that seat driving you, okay? Now, you might not, this might catch you a little bit, but you can actually find how to conquer the physical senses in the Bible. Now, what certain groups and entities have done is they've actually given you the goggles to see through. So when you actually look at a book that you've been taught to call the Bible, you can only see through the visions that they have designed for you. So like, for example, when I mentioned the Bible to someone as a tool, as a key for them to be able to devour the lion or devour the lower self, which is the animal. Now I said devour the lion, right? In the Gospel of Thomas, in I think it's saying number 7, it goes into talking about how the human devours the lion, so the lion becomes human and so forth. So I did a video on that, so if you haven't seen that, I'll link it in the description below. So moving on, right? So whenever I mention the Bible as being a key, right? Because things have been hidden here and you have been blocked from being able to see it because you have been given the goggles to look through. So we're going to remove those goggles. And what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the first 5 books. Now, the first 5 books has been classified as the law of Moses, so to speak, but it's actually a set of instructions to help you devour the animal so intelligence can come and sit in that seat for you, right? And then you move on to the next level when you start getting into the soul senses. I'm not going to get into that in this particular video. Stay tuned. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe because I'm working on that content. First, we want to work on the physical senses. Once we have the tools to devour that, then intelligence can sit in the driving seat, and that's going to be the soul senses, right? So there's particular instructions in order to move to higher levels, right? Higher levels of attainment. So if you have not conquered the lower self, it's going to be very difficult for you to unlock the keys, unlock the doors that you need to go into the higher planes, right? So in the first 5 books, Genesis through Deuteronomy, you can find the particular tools that you need. Now, the instructions can be broken down into 5 categories, right? So you have the ceremonial instructions, you have the sacrificial instructions, the dietary instructions, you have the judgmental instructions, and you have like something called the royal instructions. Now, the royal instructions is just kind of saying that while you're in this particular vehicle, right, you don't supposed to use this vehicle to do something like lay down. If you're a man, you don't supposed to go and lay down with another man, right? Because what that does is it does something to what some people identify as the kundalini, how it's supposed to rise, but it makes it actually fall, if you get what I'm saying. So you have to stop identifying yourself as this. That's number one. Because when you identify yourself as this, then you are basically controlled by your senses. So when this die, you die with it, and then you go through some cycles, and then you end up returning and doing stuff all over again. But I'm not going to get into that in this particular video. Subscribe so you can get the notification of when I do come out with that resource for you. But so basically that which is within you. So if I was to say knowledge, and I asked you to say knowledge, right, without moving your lips, you're able to say it, right, and you're able to hear yourself say it, but you never moved your lips. So I am speaking to that, right? So while you're inside of this particular container, right, having this experience, there's certain things you're supposed to do, and there's certain things you don't supposed to do. So that is the royal instructions that you can find from Genesis to Deuteronomy. You can also find it in the Proverbs and in the book of Psalms. Okay, you can find those instructions there. Also, it deals with a dietary instructions. Like, for example, earlier I was talking about eating swine. Now, it's very important that you don't eat anything like that because, number one, I mean, it doesn't have any sweat glands, so it can't release toxins. And, it takes, the digestive system is just not on point, right? So there's certain things that you don't want to consume, if you get what I'm saying. So, like, for example, shrimp, crab, lobster, all these things, these scavenger type of things, right? It needs to have fins and scales on it. If it swims in the waters and you want to look at that as being something that you can consume, it has to have fins and scales, because then you know that it can properly release the toxins and so forth, because you don't want to calcify yourself from within to where you can't receive certain downloads of information like what I'm saying to you right now. It'll just be as words unto you. So you can find the keys that you need from Genesis to Deuteronomy, right? I'm not going to break every single one of them down for you in this video. I'm going to leave it up to you to actually go and read those particular books and find the tools that you need so you can conquer your lower self. So, and if you have a Tanakh, obviously you can find it in there as well. So that's what I wanted to do in this particular video, is follow up on saying 7 from the Gospel of Thomas, how I talked about the animal version, your lower self, and I just wanted to provide you with a few tools on how you can conquer that animal so intelligence can sit in the seat and be the driver for you. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing, because that's what I want to do, is I want to kind of roll out more resources and tools to help you on your path of attainment. And hit the notification bell. Share this with a friend if you think it's something that's interesting to your audience, and I'll see you in the next video.